Good evening, and welcome to our extended news bulletin. Tonight, we bring you updates from around the globe, covering a range of significant events. Let's delve into the latest developments.
Earthbeat, pulse of the planet.
Hezbollah launched a major attack on 9 Israeli military sites on Thursday, using rockets and drones in retaliation for an Israeli strike that killed a senior Hezbollah commander earlier in the week. This attack, involving over 100 rockets and at least 30 drones, marks the largest escalation since October. Israel responded with air raid sirens across northern cities, intercepting many of the rockets. Despite this, 2 people were injured by shrapnel. The conflict, ongoing for 8 months, has intensified recently, resulting in significant casualties. Over 300 Hezbollah fighters and around 80 Lebanese civilians killed, with Israel losing 18 soldiers and 10 civilians. Israeli officials, including spokesperson David Mencer, affirmed Israel's determination to restore peace and defend itself. The group of 7 leaders, meeting in Italy, voiced their concern over the rising violence. G7 leaders at a summit in Italy are set to approve a $50 billion loan for Ukraine, using profits from frozen Russian assets. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky will join leaders from the US, UK, Italy, France, Germany, Canada, and Japan for talks. This loan will aid Ukraine's defense, budget, and reconstruction amid its war with Russia. The agreement, expected by year-end, highlights unity against Russia while easing financial burdens on national budgets. Zelensky will also sign security agreements with Japan and the US during the summit. The G7 has been a key supporter of Ukraine since Russia's 2022 invasion. The summit will also address global issues like the Gaza-Israel conflict, climate change, and economic concerns with China. The UK and 39 other UNMember states are demanding the immediate release of UN staff detained by the Houthis in Yemen. They condemned recent detentions and expressed grave concern over the worsening humanitarian situation. UN Special Envoy Hans Grundberg called for the Houthis to respect international law and release all detained personnel. Israel supports a ceasefire proposal for the ongoing conflict in Gaza, aiming to reach a resolution with Hamas. White House National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan expressed this goal at a G7 meeting in Italy. Hamas has requested changes to the US-backed proposal, including a complete Israeli troop withdrawal from Gaza, which Israel has not publicly confirmed accepting. Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu insists on not halting Israel's operations until Hamas is dealt with. Hamas also demands the release of specific Palestinian prisoners, Gaza's reconstruction, lifting the blockade, and easing movement and trade restrictions. In Buenos Aires, clashes erupted between Argentine police and protesters on Wednesday as security forces fired tear gas and water cannons at demonstrators opposing proposed economic reforms. The unrest, involving stone-throwing protesters and pepper-spraying police, escalated as demonstrators set 2 cars on fire. This violence occurred while lawmakers debated reforms suggested by President Javier Milei. Several dozen protesters and a handful of lawmakers required medical attention. As night fell, police used shielded officers and motorbikes to disperse the crowd, resulting in further confrontations and injuries. At least 40 people were treated on site for pepper spray exposure, according to the Association Against Institutional Violence. Chinese Premier Li Qiang visited New Zealand, meeting with government and business leaders to enhance trade and climate cooperation. This visit, the highest level from China in 7 years, included a tour of the New Zealand Institute for Plant and Food Research. On Thursday, both countries signed agreements to boost trade, aligning with Prime Minister Christopher Luxon's export goals. Despite emphasizing trade, Luxon also raised human rights and security concerns with Li. New Zealand has adopted a firmer stance on China this year, addressing issues like hacking and Pacific security threats. Kuwaiti authorities have detained 3 people on suspicion of manslaughter over a fire that killed 50 Indian foreign workers and 3 Filipinos in a 6-story building south of Kuwait City. The blaze, which injured dozens, broke out early Wednesday in a block housing nearly 200 workers, mostly from South and Southeast Asia. Many victims died from smoke inhalation. The public prosecution stated that 1 Kuwaiti and 2 foreign residents were arrested for neglecting security procedures and fire regulations. The cause of the fire is still under investigation. Pakistan has opted not to attend the Ukraine Peace Summit in Switzerland due to scheduling conflicts and other considerations. This decision underscores Pakistan's stance on neutrality in the Ukraine-Russia conflict, aiming to maintain diplomatic balance. Pakistan reaffirmed its call for an immediate end to hostilities and emphasized the need for diplomacy and dialogue to resolve the crisis. Additionally, Pakistan dismissed Indian allegations of involvement in recent violence in Kashmir as unsubstantiated.
That concludes our special report. We will continue to follow these stories as they develop. Thank you for watching. Good night. Subscribe for further